This is Kalonzo's motorcade. The motorcade was headed to Opoda Farm, where Kalonzo was able to pay his last respects to Raila once more. However, we know that he attended Raila's burial ceremony, where he was able to give an address. But he said today he would show up at Opoda Farm in style. And truly speaking, we are seeing him showing up in style. Look at this motorcade. When you see this motorcade, you will agree with me that there was planning. And finally, Kalonzo arrived at Opoda Farm. As you can see, a herd of cattle. And finally, you saw the cultural dances, ululation, and all that. To be honest, it was necessary for Kalonzo to go back to Opoda Farm because Raila and him enjoyed a strong relationship, and the relationship went beyond politics. We all understand that. And on various occasions, Raila heaped praises on Kalonzo, where he said that Kalonzo is trustworthy. And to be honest, you can't doubt that because we saw Kalonzo shelve his ambitions for Raila. Even at a point, nobody expected Kalonzo to support Raila. He showed up and supported Raila, especially in 2022. Nobody expected Kalonzo to shelve his ambitions and support Raila. But can you imagine, he had to shelve his ambitions and he supported Raila even if he wasn't given the running mate position. This goes to inform you that Kalonzo is a friend that someone can always trust, because once you agree with him to do something, he will always commit to it. I also feel that Kalonzo was able to make a political statement today, because during Raila's burial ceremony, Kalonzo did not make a political statement. Instead, he went ahead to talk about democracy, fair elections that Raila fought for many years. And he said that he would continue fighting for what Raila stood for. But today, what I am seeing is that Kalonzo was able to communicate to the hearts of Luo Nyanza voters, because this was a strong statement. The guy arrived here with over 100 cows. Who else does that if not a true friend? And if you are keen, you saw crowds swelling. People were happy and said, we didn't expect this from Kalonzo. But again, we know you've always stood with Raila. As much as this arrival carried a political statement, someone wasn't happy somewhere. I don't know how President Ruto construes this, because these statements that were made at Opoda Farm by people like James Orengo definitely inform you that Luo Nyanza can perhaps be divided on who to support in 2027. So let me tell you this. From my reading, Kalonzo will get some votes from Luo Nyanza. I know there is an issue here because of Gachagua, but there are reasonable and informed voters who will stand by Kalonzo's side. Despite Luo Nyanza embracing President Ruto overwhelmingly, there's that group of people who will always say, no, Kalonzo stood with the Raila, and here we are using our logic, and our logic is guiding us to support Kalonzo. And in my previous video, I said this, that Luo Nyanza should support President Ruto for their political survival. But again, I said that some will disagree, because some feel that Kalonzo is still someone who can protect Luo Nyanza, because this is someone that has worked with Raila. But I know the only problem here is the utterances that have been coming from Gachagua. But if you put aside Gachagua, Luo Nyanza people love Kalonzo. So politics is tricky, but my statement remains that Luo Nyanza will be divided to some extent. There's that section that will say, regardless of what, we shall support Kalonzo. And that is going to happen. So kindly listen to these speeches that were given at Opoda Farm.
Uncle Wacho, apparently my ear is not working, serving me well. So I had to call I had to call Honorable Orengo to come and help me hear what he was saying.
I've been in many meetings where people are discussing about who is going to be the candidate. And three times, Kalonzo has said, nakuachia wewe ndugu yangu Raila. In 2013, in 2017, and in 2022, where he said, I don't even need a position. If there's a principled man in Kenya, like Raila Odinga, is Kalonzo Musyoka. I also want to say this again about Kalonzo Musyoka. This guy has been a vice president. You know, power must be controlled. Ukiona watu wanakimbilia power, ati akiona uzito ya state, wanafikiria wamefika. Those are people who are going to destroy this country. Power must be controlled. That's why Raila fought for a new constitution, to oversight any government in power. So I want to see anybody in Kenya today who can say he loved Raila more than Kalonzo. I want to see. The second thing I want to say, Mama Ida Odinga yesterday, I don't know whether he was expecting a guest of such a texture to come today. Ya kwamba hii kitu ya kusema huyu ametoka Bondo, huyu anatoka Imbo, huyu ametoka Ukambani. I don't want to hear about that, because that is not the way to build a one Kenya. And today, nearly a representation of all Kenya is here. That is what Ida was talking about yesterday. And Raila was also talking about inclusion, not of any communities alone, but in one big tent called Kenya. Finally, let us not experiment. There's a science about winning elections. And one of them is to be resilient and to make sure what Mutula was saying, that there's going to be free and fair election. Unaona jirani amefanya election 98%. 98%.
They called him names. They said, ni kwa maombi si kwa uchawi. We nearly got killed. And Raila and I escaped from Embakasi South. How we did it was amazing. It was like the orders were given that day to kill us, mainly to kill Raila Odinga. Thank you. Our sister Mama Aida na familia kijana Junior, the clergy who have come in such large numbers, my brother senior counsel and governor of Siaya, my learned brother members of parliament. You know, Jim Orengo knows, amongst a few other people, the struggle our brother Raila Odinga lived, not for himself, but for this country. Since I will have occasion to speak at Opoda Farm, allow me to be very brief and to say the gentleman lying here would have been the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya. We've been to the trenches with my brother. On one occasion in 2023, when Kenyans were saying the cost of living was unbearable, some of us wore sufurias. We nearly got killed, and Raila and I escaped from Embakasi South. How we did it was amazing. It was like the orders were given that day to kill us, mainly to kill Raila Odinga. But we escaped somehow up to Rafa Otuju's place in Karen. I think Kamau and Raila will remember this. And when we got there, my brother asked me to come after we removed the sweat and all. And he told me, I want to show you something. We went, we counted 10 bullet attempts on my brother Raila Odinga. If it was not that he was having an armored vehicle, we would have buried him in 2023. But God is gracious. This is why I've come clad today as a comrade. We were in the trenches. We said resist. And I want my brother to know that when it comes to bad governance, we will continue to resist. I want my brother lying here to know they called him names. They said, ni kwa maombi si kwa uchawi. They said, some ganga. We are burying here a man of God who laid his life for the sake of this nation. This is not Mganga who is lying here. This is not Mchawi who is lying here. So we must get those things so our brother rests in peace. And nobody should ever use those names again or associate the Odinga family na uchawi na uganga. On my part, I'll never have worked with Mganga or Mchawi. We went through plenty with this brother. So I honor you today. I didn't have enough time because like the enigma was, Mama Ida, the enigma said, bury me quickly. So we didn't have time. So don't be surprised that the whole nation will keep on coming here. I know that the Kikuyu nation, for example, will come. Our brother Rigiji would want to come. And those who spoke badly spoke for themselves. And others will come. The Luyas were here with a lot of cows. Mama Ida will talk about the cows when you go there, because my brother can't take any cow with him. He's rested. But we are so honored to have this opportunity and to assure him that the values he lived for will never die with him. In fact, he's more powerful in death than when he was alive. Raila Odinga will be more powerful in death, I repeat, than when he was alive. Because he inspired the young Kenyans. He inspired the Gen Zs. And I remember that little girl in 2024 who said on the television, Baba, you have done enough. Rest, achia sisi kazi. And they did. They even went to the Central Business District. And the history of this country cannot be written without a prominence of place being given to our brother Raila Amolo Odinga. May the champion of democracy, may the champion of devolution rest in eternal peace. Amen.
Your Excellency, that was a very powerful speech. And at the end of it, I think you should have said, Joey.
It was this master of ceremony who scared us. We said now solemn, but Joey. Joey. Remember, I'm also a bit of Joey, the Buffalo Soldier, Man Steve-O. Thank you.
Now that is complete.